In today's episode, we're going to tackle one of the biggest problems that triathletes have with triathlon, and that is training is not sexy.
Hello, welcome to Triathlonology, a triathlon podcast by Animis racing team. I'm Oliver.
And I'm Jacqui. We are a mum and son coaching team who have changed our lives through the sport of triathlon.
Our podcast aims to break down the mysteries of triathlon training and show you, the listener, how simple and flexible it can be so that it really does become part of your lifestyle and not just a hobby.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Triathlonology, a podcast by Animis racing team.
I'm Coach Jacqui.
I'm Coach Oliver, and together we're a mum and son coaching team based in North Lincolnshire and South Yorkshire, and we give out our advice in a
Honest, practical and straight
to the point.
Straight.
In today's episode, we're going to tackle one of the biggest problems that triathletes have with triathlon, and that is training is not sexy.
Definitely not sexy.
All the time. And
It's never sexy.
not something that anybody particularly wants to hear
No.
or wants to think about, but the best training is not sexy. It is a grind. It is repetitive. It's sometimes dull.
You don't need flashy gadgets, and you're not going to be Insta-worthy. You're not going to be posing for camera all the time and posting it on Instagram because, to be quite honest, they're all lies.
Yeah, and even when you see professionals posting on Instagram, it's still only a brief insight into one of the sessions they've done those days, but quite often it is just, knocking out endurance-based sessions, aerobic-based sessions, because triathlon is an aerobic sport.
Yeah.
Even if you're doing a sprint triathlon, it's longer than an hour, it's an aerobic sport.
Yeah. Thing is, doing repetitive sessions, grinding it out, it's that gets you to the finish line.
It's what we talked about consistency the other week, about how it's turning up, it's the showing up for training and showing up to do it is the battle.
Yeah.
And whether you're doing it for 2 or 3 hours a week, or whether you're doing it for 15, 16 hours a week, it's that repetitiveness and the getting it done, and it not every workout not being different, and every workout not being like interesting. That is what will make you better. So let's talk about why the boring stuff is actually the most important stuff.
Because let's face it, Oliver, we live in a world where everything's got to be exciting. It's got to be fast-paced. It's got to
Instant
be
gratification.
Yeah, making look like you.
We know that from our professional lives. People expect it tomorrow.
Yeah, and I have to deliver.
I don't.
But it is not like that in real life.
No.
And you've just got to you've got to get your head around that. If you're going to be out on the course for like 14 hours.
Or 7 hours and a half Ironman or whatever.
Get used to it. It's boring.
Yeah, I mean, one of the reasons why I keep saying this is why I will not do an Ironman is I only know so many songs off by heart that I can sing to myself in my head. And after about 6 hours, I get fed up of my own company on my own. So I'm not going to put myself through doing like 10 to 11 of it. Why would I bother?
Me neither. I'd fall out with myself anyway before we got past 2 hours.
As we said at the start of the show, social media makes everything look really exciting.
Because you're only really looking at that snapshot bit that looks, ooh, they're doing such and such, and I've got to do it.
Fancy intervals and gadgets and
the O2 Max things.
Yeah,
and Threshold.
Iron Maiden and AC/DC playing it background to make it sound a bit more uplifting. But it's not really how triathlon works. And if you think that all the sessions are going to be like that, then you've probably got another thing coming. I mean, one of the things that we say in our training group a lot is that all sessions are stones. Some of them are diamonds and some of them are coal, but they all get you to where you want to be. And to be perfectly honest, most people have more days that are coal than are diamonds.
Absolutely.
And is it Steve Magnus who talks about the athlete where they said, oh, well, how do I know whether I'm going to be right for my training for the Olympics? And they said, well, you'll just feel like you have more rubbish days than not, and that's probably a good idea of where you're supposed to be.
Yeah, definitely Steve Magnus. And if you don't follow him on, I won't say Twitter, but it's not Twitter anymore.
Twitter, you're not calling it X.
No, Twitter. and he's now gone onto Instagram, then you're missing a trick because he's great. He doles out really sound, practical advice.
But training isn't, we're going to emphasise this again, it's not about the flashy moments, it's not about the one hard session in the group or in the week or in the group sessions that you've got. It's about showing up, being consistent and doing this training day after day, day on day, and repeating some of the same sessions as you're going along over and over. And there's nothing wrong with that.
No, because I mean, on race day, there's nobody, you can't have your music on.
No.
So there's nobody going to be entertaining you, and it's just you, the course, and the amount of work that you put in. So you've got to put it in during training. Just get used to it.
Well, that'll give you mental training for while things are boring. You'll get resilience to things. You'll also know in yourself that you're ready for doing it.
Yeah,
so it's a it's not sexy in the vast majority of stuff going out for a 3-hour ride or whatever. A moderate pace. But it is.
So let's just break some things down then, Oliver. So let's talk about swimming. One of our favourite topics.
Yes, so swimming. When you come to see us, and we do swimming, we don't do drills. Drills are for the dentist. Our opinion is that age group triathletes do not swim enough in the first place, and we are certainly not going to take up the sessions that they do swim with 20 minutes, half an hour of drills that aren't going to make any difference whatsoever to their aerobic ability to swim. So we teach people the basics and how to swim in a way that's efficient and effective for swimming outdoors and swimming in a pool and swimming in a lake and swimming in the sea. It will put you in the best possible position that you can do. And yeah, you'll stay at the bottom of the black line all the time, but if you go to the gym and you do chest day once a week, let's say, then you're probably using a chest press or some sort of like fly maneuver or something. I don't know. You can tell I don't go to the gym and do bodybuilding. Sorry, Eliza. But you do the same exercise every week. You just might add a little bit of weight to it one week or not.
Or a few more reps.
Yeah, but that's the same exercise. If you are doing swimming, it's going up and down 25 metres, and you might add less rest, or you might get quicker as you're going along, but it's the same principle.
Yeah. So, the next thing we'll talk about is the bike. Because you shouldn't be hammering it every single session. So, you'll be doing controlled efforts, steady rides, and a lot of zone 2 work. So, what do we mean by zone 2? For us, it's
like moderate work, stuff that's like easy, because as you get closer with our reverse periodization, as you get closer to the event, your training becomes more like your event. So you'll be doing more moderate to medium riding as a longer effort to build your endurance rather than short, sharp stuff, which we tend to do in the winter. But that's because in your race, you're not doing 30 seconds of action. You're doing 3 hours of riding your bike, and you've got to ride it at a pace that's consistent for 3 hours. So that's what we're going to train for.
Yeah. So, next thing, running.
Yeah. Again, like, there's no need for a parachute on the back when you go swimming. There's no need for a weighted vest, because you are not sprinting or, to misquote Maurizio Sarri, the erstwhile Chelsea and Napoli manager, I have never seen a kettlebell on an Ironman course.
No.
To misquote him. But what you are doing is running, mainly easy, finding a rhythm, preparing your body to keep going when your legs are telling you that you've had enough. Because at some point in your race, they will tell you that you've had enough, and that might be when, as soon as you get off the bike. It could be a kilometre from the end, but your mental state and has to be based on your training, where you think, I can keep doing this because I have an experience at doing this in training. Yeah. And there is time for doing efforts, but that's only going to be maybe 20% of your week.
Maybe not even that.
No, probably not even that. Absolute most 20%. So the rest of it is going to be easy, and it should be, so that you can take the adaptation in and improve. There isn't a shortcut. You can't wing it with last minute sessions. You shouldn't cram. This is not an exam that you're studying for. If you miss a session, move on to the next day. Don't try finding somewhere else in the week, because that'll lead to illness or injury. You've just got to do what you've got to do. Do the session, do the reps, and
just grind it out.
Yeah, and trust that over time it's all gonna.
Yeah, because it's all about accumulating the fitness and how it feels to be fatigued, how it feels to run when you like Oliver says, when your legs are dropping off, and you think, oh, I don't know whether I can do this. But if you've done it in training, you can. You've got in your head, you're thinking, you rewind it, and you're thinking, I can do this. I did it last Wednesday, or I did it 3 months ago, or whatever, and I can do it. And you just got to overcome what that chimp's saying on your shoulder. And
repetition will give you confidence on race day, and repetition in terms of the sessions, because will also give you confidence that your training is heading the right way. Because when you repeat sessions, you will feel that they get easier, or you get faster by doing them.
And it does give you confidence, because I mean, for example, I'm always going back from injury, but anyway, I'm back running again properly, and we do. I do a specific set called a Monaghetti. Is it Monaghetti? Yeah. Which I absolutely love. And I can remember when I first started back thinking, oh, I'm never going to get that. Last night I did it and thinking, oh, I'm getting better at this. It gives you so much confidence, because you're doing the same session, but your effort's improving, your speed's improving, you're not as tired. So it is about repetition, and it does give you confidence.
By the time you're on the start line, you're not panicking about stuff, you're not any doubt, because you've done the work. And I genuinely, I can say in all the races where I've done the best, I have gone into the pool or into the lake or wherever it is and not been worried, not been panicked, because I know I'm just going to execute what I've done in training, and I'll get the result that I deserve, providing I don't have a mechanical.
Yeah, and I think that is, I know I felt the same. I mean, I know when I qualified for Great Britain, I knew when I stood on that start line, I was the best I could be. And I trusted the training that I'd done, and I executed it, and I qualified. And I thought, today's the day, because you just know. There's a feeling inside that you know you've done the training, you've not missed your sessions, you've got on, and you've got the confidence.
Yeah, you need conditioning and a good mindset, and the ability to just keep going even when you don't want to. Like when you're hitting the wall, go through it. And just remember why you entered that race and the training that you've done, and that will take you homewards. Also, training is not meant to be entertaining.
No.
You can attempt to make it entertaining with things like Zwift.
Yeah.
And, I watch football while I'm doing mine, so I can combine two things that I like doing at the same time.
I like watching Chicago Fire.
Or,
anyway.
films, if you want to watch films, particularly, albeit you're going to watch them in bite size if you're training indoors. But if you want exciting, go to Disney World.
Yeah, or Alton Towers or somewhere.
Yeah, because it's not exciting. It's just
not.
It's not. It's grinding it out. It's boring most of the time, because you put your trainers on, you put your bike shoes on, and you go off and do a session.
Yeah. The most successful athletes are the ones who aren't chasing variety, are looking for quick fixes, because we live in a world where we expect everything to be fixed, just like that, like we just said at the beginning. It's about people want us to do it next day, or
you need 16 weeks to build fitness, and then after 16 weeks it's probably about as fit as you're going to get, and then the rest of it is just fine tuning.
So the most successful ones are the people who embrace the process, even when it's monotonous.
Yeah, and Olympic athletes are exactly the same. They will all have their sessions that they do every week. I mean, the Brownlees did their track sessions the same day every week. It was more or less the same. Yeah. When they went out with the chain gang, same day every week, whatever it was, they all went out and did the same course.
Yeah. So, the swimming, did it on the same days. Yeah.
It's just that level of consistency is what helps, and it is monotonous, but it's going to get you there, and you've got to sort of look at it in a different way, and stop looking for excitement in the workouts. Yeah. And start looking for excitement in the progress that you're making in doing the same workouts.
Yeah, that's a good point, that, Oliver.
So what do we mean by that? So going back to my earlier thing with the chest press and swimming. So if or bench pressing, if you're bench pressing 20 kilos 1 week and 4 weeks later you're bench pressing 25 kilos, well, you're going to be satisfied with that, aren't you?
Because it's progress.
Same with swimming. If you are swimming 100 metres at a 2 minutes per 100 speed, let's say, but then all of a sudden you're at 155 or 152, progress.
Or you start off doing 1,500 metres in a session, then you get up to
2,000
2,000
or 2,500. That in itself is a satisfying thing.
Yeah.
Same with like cycling. Building up your power and your average speed, although we don't really pay attention to numbers, it is a comforting thing as an athlete to think, oh, I am getting better because I rode that loop 2 months ago and it took me 15 minutes longer than it's took now, and the conditions have been more or less the same.
Yeah.
Running is the one that people hate the most, and particularly if you're running on a treadmill, because people don't feel like you're going anywhere, but I love the treadmill.
I love treadmill.
But if you can get off and not feel like you're dead when you've done your running, then again, that's progress to a degree, and you will only get better the more that you're doing, the more you turn up and do it. And the magic isn't in fancy workouts.
It's in little improvements you get over time.
Yeah.
So we just have to ask you to just trust the process.
Which is something that everybody says.
Yeah.
Literally, I do not think I have ever seen any Instagram post by any athlete in any sport that doesn't say, to some level, trust the process.
Yeah.
Because all you can do is like do that, because the outcomes are not predictable. If you follow the process, you've got a better chance of reaching an outcome, but you can't go for an outcome because you don't know whether what's going to happen that day. If you get a puncture,
Sunday T-bones you don't know.
You get punched in the head of going round a buoy.
Yeah. So triathlon training, it's not about hype, it's about preparation. It's about doing what needs to be done, not what you think it looks good on Strava. I hate Strava, I'm not on Strava.
Oh, like when you see people trying to like gamers who have done a 12-minute 5k and they've done like efforts and then had a rest between them. Yeah, don't be getting into thinking
one-upmanship and all that
mindless wand waving.
Yeah.
On Strava, it's for ego, not for performance.
And if you can accept that, and if you can find joy in the discipline and not in the big moments, you'll not only race better, you'll enjoy the whole journey more.
Yeah, and you'll see the difference that triathlon can make in your life, and in both the physical and mental health, because you're not focusing on the outcome, you're focusing on doing the process. And that is why people talk about it more, because it becomes a lifestyle then, rather than your life.
Yeah, true, absolutely.
So the next time you sat on your turbo, or you're running on a treadmill, or you're staring at the black line at the bottom of a swimming pool, which you shouldn't be doing anyway, but that's a different session, and you think, I'm fed up, this is boring. Just remember, being boring gets results.
Definitely. I'll be as boring as anything if it means I get to the end of a race and I've executed it as well as I possibly can, and I've got the result that I expected and I deserve.
Yeah, because you get out. I mean, you always said you get out of it what you put into it.
Yeah.
And it's the same in life, isn't it? You get out of it what you put into it, and if you don't put any effort in, then you get nothing out of it. If you try hard and you work hard, then you'll get what you should be getting as the result 9 times out of 10. Yeah. But yeah, so unfortunately, that is a bit of a health warning podcast in that it's not, or it shouldn't be sexy and glamorous. You can try and make it sexy and glamorous by getting nicer clothes to wear. Or shoes.
Yeah, or shoes.
Fancy coloured shoes make it look nicer. I think so anyway. Or like I've just got all my old swimming trunks that I couldn't fit in before. I can now get in them on. They're all fancy colours and they're not grey and black and colours. And they're all, you think, okay, this is like allowing me to show my personality. Yeah. But I'm still going to pull and I'm doing 20 lots of 100 with 10 seconds rest with my pull boy paddle, and that's an every week session. So
that's about it for this week's session, do you think?
Yeah, it's a shorter one, but yeah, it's an important message. So particularly if you are 2 or 3 months into training for an Ironman or whatever, and you think
it's boring,
this is boring, but it's meant to be. But if you've come from another background like the gym, where you're doing, I mean, largely, if you take that up, it is boring as well, because you're doing the same movements and exercises, you're just adding a bit of weight. Whereas with aerobic sports, you're going to probably do the same sessions, but rather than adding a bit of weight, you're going to get a bit quicker, or you're going to need less rest between each rep.
Yeah, or you're going to go a bit further.
And that's your progress. So think about that when you think this is boring, and think, right, I'm just going to get on. Or you can do what we always suggest. If you do find things boring, try and find ways to distract yourself through it. So with swimming, we always recommend getting headphones. You know, there are plenty of brands out there now. There weren't when we first started talking
but there are
about
lots,
this. No.
and they're not that expensive either. I can't recommend it, but can't remember.
Even your Teletubby ones.
Oh, listen, my Teletubby ones still work, Oliver.
They're called Teletubby ones. We should really put a picture in.
Yeah.
Because when my mum has them on, she looks like Lala from Teletubbies. Because they're bright yellow and they look like
But you
Teletubby
know, when I
ears.
forgot...
But you should have a picture of Lala so you can compare it to it.
Right.
If you don't know, like, also Teletubbies were 8 foot tall when they were filming it to make the buildings look smaller.
Okay.
I didn't realise that. So imagine being wandering around the English countryside out for a walk and seeing BBC filming 8 foot Teletubbies in a field. That was stuff of nightmares right there, isn't it?
Absolutely, especially for little kids.
Yes.
All that were for. But anyhow.
But yes, there are things you can do to liven up or to take some boredom away from what you're doing. So, you know, things like headphones while you're swimming. If you're really into it, you can get goggles now that tell you how fast you're swimming. Although I couldn't get on with them, and I don't think they're necessarily a panacea. But if you're training indoors, there's Zwift, Roovy, My Whoosh, the one that Abu Dhabi do.
Gas something or
Full gas.
Full gas.
Yeah, Trainer Road, Training Peaks have got its own thing now. You can do some of that for running. Certainly Zwift is available for running, but I don't know if any other platforms are at the moment. I wouldn't imagine many of them will be far behind. You can put TV on, radio, playlists. One of the sessions that people talk about a lot in the training group from a long time ago, like in the early 90s, going in a dark garage with the lights off, training on your bike, and then throwing the door open and running outside. That's something different. So there are ways that you can jazz things up a little bit, but actual meat and bones of a session are going to be boring and need doing.
So if you want to come and experience one of our boring sessions, then we said before we do swim coaching on a Monday night, but if you want
Axel North Leisure Centre at 6:30.
If you want to come on our triathlon holiday, which is in April
It starts beginning April the 7th for a week. You could also come for a shorter period of time if you want during that, and just get in touch with us. We still have a few places available, and it will be nice to see people in the sunshine and getting some. Well, I said sunshine. We've looked at a long range weather forecast, and it said this last year, so who knows? Might be some afternoon showers, but
get some vitamin D.
Yes, at least it'll be warm.
Yeah.
It won't be like 15 degrees on Sunday like it was here, and now 3 degrees outside.
Yeah, because that's no good for no one.
No. So you can just inquire via the website or through social media at Animis Racing Team, or email info@animisracingteam.com.
I'll put it at Animis
Animisracing.com. Animisracing.com. Sorry, info@animisracing.com. Email us there, and we will come back to you about whether you want to come swimming or come to our Portuguese triathlon holidays. But until next time, we'll civvy.
Thank you for joining us today.
See you next time.
See you then. Or as we say in Yorkshire, civvy.